like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.
Hi everyone, it's Séverine from Metal Express Radio, and today I'm with Lee Payne of British heavy metal band Cloven Hoof, and the band is releasing their 10th studio album called Heathen Cross on the 31st of May. So how are you doing, Lee?
I'm doing great, thank you. My pleasure to talk to you, Metal Express. Hope Stig's okay. We're old friends. He's a proper metal warrior, Stig is, so my best regard.
So, Heathen Cross will be released in just a couple of weeks, really soon. So, what can you tell us about this new album?
We're really proud of it. You know, like it was one of the few albums that we definitely started off with a criteria of things we definitely wanted it to achieve, and we set out sort of ground notes for it like right away, because the main sort of premise that we started off with was I keep going back to my favorite albums. You know, like they're still there, evergreen. I just still love them today just as much, and I'm thinking why do I still love the sort of older albums like Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Paranoid, and Rainbow Rising, and Made in Japan, and all those kind of albums, and obviously, Zeppelin 4 and stuff, and they're just like fabulous, and they still move me the same now as they did then, so they're timeless. So I was thinking, well, I think it's because it's organic, it's a real band playing in the studio, not just playing tracks, but actually giving a performance. So they managed to, on those albums, they created their live energy and the live power, and you can feel it in the grooves, So I'm thinking, well, why can't we do that? Why has all albums got to be made, it's sort of processed and Pro Tools and everybody going in separate and all of this? Why can't we go back to the old days and, tear through the album like with the live energy in the studio? So I had a word with Patrick Engel, High Roller. He's a magnificent producer. He's like a genius, and he gave us a set of EQs and parameters to use like in the studio that he knew works really well, like for the drums and the bass and the guitar. So we had a great sound in the first place, and then we went in and like the old days and played the tracks. It also is a return to us playing the songs. We live them in the rehearsal studio first before we go in, and that was different. And that's great because by the time we went in there, we knew them inside out. And I think it was four tracks on there. I played in one take. So I'm just like thinking of Darkest Before the Dawn was definitely done in one take. It's because just like the old days, like you learn your set, then you go and make an album. So we really went in and tried to capture the energy of proper old school kind of metal, and you can hear it in the grooves, and with Patrick's production, I think the guitars and everything sound like they're in the room with you. So it ticked all the boxes, and we kind of left a lot of stuff out and gave the instruments room to breathe, and it sounds heavier because of that. So we're really pleased with this one. I think it's the best album we've ever done, and also the great things that's going for it as well. It's got our best ever vocals as well. Harry's vocals are just sublime, and I knew he'd do them brilliant anyway, because he's just a fantastic singer, and he's one of those people that knows how to act out a song. He doesn't just sing it; he lives it, and he sings it with power, passion. He's got incredible vocal range, and when he was sending the tracks back, because basically we recorded the album, all the backing tracks with the band all together, like in England, and we sent it to Greece where he lives, and then he sent the files back to us. And every time he was sending back, I was blown away with the vocals because they were perfect. And he's the only singer that didn't need coaching, like he just nailed it like right away. And it's really good. I felt a lot of freedom on there because normally I write for the strengths of the singer, like I write to suit them. But you can write anything with Harry because he'll sing anything great. And then the album was mixed by Patrick Engel in, I don't know whether it was, I think it might be Germany it was Germany or Austria. It's one of the two, So it took 3 countries to make this album, but we love the result, and I just think it's the best thing we've ever done.
Yeah,
hopefully the band will think so as well.
Yeah, it's a very good album. Obviously, I wasn't alive when the new wave of British heavy metal started, so I had kind of to dig through the albums of my parents and everything. And I discovered Cloven Hoof with the last album, Time Assassin, and I was like,
awesome.
this is really good. So,
I was really pleased with that one as well.
Yeah. So, in your career, I saw that there have been quite a lot of changes. You said you recruited Harry Conklin for this one. It's fantastic on the album. So, how did you choose him, and how did you know it was the right singer for the album?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I was first aware of a Harry, like when we playing a fantastic festival called Keep It True in Germany. It's a brilliant festival, and there was this guy and he needed a lift down to the festival, and I wasn't aware of him at the time. It was just like somebody at the hotel, and I went to, well, we got our RV, come down with us, and we'll sort of take you down to the festival. We chatting away, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is a cool guy and stuff. And then the next thing I know, because we were playing at the festival, and Harry was part of like a sort of all-star band, like at the end of the night, a band called Roxcalibur had covered like one of our songs and stuff. But they were doing like several famous songs, and different singers, from the different bands were going to do a spot. And he completely owned it. Harry was amazing, and I was going like, I'm going to have to, keep that guy in mind, because what a voice, he's got. So anyway, our last vocalist, George Cole, great singer, brilliant front man, and he'd been with us for about like 6 years. But what happened there was, it wasn't anything to do with like ability or George or anything. It was just due to after COVID, the flights just went up for America. Like, it just went up to crazy prices. And then we had stupid Brexit, which I was completely against. And it was even more expensive. So in the end, we couldn't really afford to have like any American personnel in the band, being as we're European based, because it literally just logistics, it costs too much, in the end. So we had to look for a European based singer. And somebody told me that Harry's based in Greece. So I'm thinking, well, the flights would be definitely doable, because it's like, it's not like America prices. And luckily for us, it was meant to be, it's written in the stars, because Harry's beautiful wife, Christine, she's a massive Cloven Hoof fan. So I went and sort of texted her and went, do you think Harry had been into singing with a band? And she said, yeah. Right away, I went, no, go and ask him, And about 5 minutes later, Harry went, yeah, I'll do it, and I said, well, tell you what, we're playing in Germany, just come along and just see, if you get on with all the guys and the chemistry's there and you're going to enjoy it, make sure, it's for you. And we got on fantastically well, and everybody loves Harry. Well, Harry's one of them people. Everybody loves Harry anyway, because he's such a lovely guy. And for somebody so talented, he hasn't got that ego. He's just an absolute sort of godsend, really. And so he said, yeah, let's get, he met us and he loved hanging out with us, and he went, let's do it. So that was it, really. We recorded the backing track for Heathen Cross, and he sent the vocals, and he's just been phenomenal. We've done sort of 3 or 4 shows like in Europe with him, and he's just incredible live as well. What a front man as well. So we've got a great chemistry together, and this is definitely the way forward. I want Harry to sing for us always now. He's incredible.
So Heathen Cross will be album number 10.
Yeah, there we go. It's something like that. 10 or 11, something like that. I lost count now. I'll tell you what, this will sound crazy. It's like, so there it is. The vinyl version came for me.
It looks amazing.
And I was going, the cover by Alex and everything. It's brilliant. And guess what I was doing like earlier on? I was starting the next one. In the studio doing the follow-up. So and so that's the plan really as well now. It's like we've got a few shows we're going to do. We're going to do Mere Fest, and we're going to do a festival in Oxford in England. So that's 2 in England. We haven't played in England for 6 years, and we're in Munich in November, and that's great. That's sold out. But the plan is to record the next one. Get that out of the way. Then next year we can play everywhere, so we can enjoy ourselves again. Because it's like, it's kind of the hard work, really, the making of albums, and it's very kind of sterile with like working in the studio. I mean, heavy metal is live music, and that's what I love the most, and meeting the fans. So, it'll be our reward for working so hard this year to play as many shows as we can next year. So that's the plan.
Yeah. So if we look back at all of your careers and your album, since 10 album is a big anniversary, what are you most proud of your albums, of your career, of everything you've done with Cloven Hoof?
There's been a lot of sort of milestones, like when we kind of started off. I always wanted to play in America, I really did, and I always wanted to play Whiskey A Go Go, and we did 2 headline back-to-back tours of America, and it was everything I always wanted. I loved it. It kind of I knew it'd be great, but it kind of exceeded my expectations. And yeah, we headlined Whiskey A Go Go, so that was a big milestone. And I think Night Stalker track appearing on the EA Games Brutal Legend was a big one, because we're like on there with like all the big hitters, on with like Judas Priest and like Motorhead and all these bands and stuff. And for us to be included on that game, that was a big honor as well. And I think getting in the heavy metal charts, the first EP, got to number 18, and that was a big milestone as well. It always is, like your first one, but for it to do so well, so those kind of things, you're really kind of proud of, kind of looking back, and bands covering our stuff even now, what is it, 44 years? Oh my God, it sounds a million years, doesn't it? And it makes you feel really old when you say it, but. I love it when bands cover our songs. That's a real big honor, and it means, obviously means the songs mean a lot to them as well. So yeah, those kind of things.
So still about this album, you've said that it's your darkest and heaviest album to date, and also that it has the satanic undertones of your debut.
It does, yeah. There we go. The first album was very sort of dark, and we had the Witch's Room, which is a real witchy spell on it, and we've had no end of things sort of odd that. People go, oh, coincidence, yeah, but how many times, is it coincidence before it, there might be something in it, kind of thing. But we've had a lot of weird things. I mean, all our career with that, and it got so bad, like with the band, the band members were going like, let's not play that song because they didn't want to do it because something always went wrong. We'd break strings or perhaps a breakdown, or we got struck by lightning. we had a rehearsal, and it was a summer's day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and everything was fine. And then we played the Cloven Hoof song and got to the witchy spell thing, and all of a sudden, bang! Like the whole room went blue. Like what the hell was that? What did you just plug into? But it hadn't. We literally got hit by thunderbolt cloud, and that was really strange. And we when we first did the track as well at a place called Holy Joe's, it's a rehearsal room. It's like real, known really well for the local sort of bands from my area. Judas Priest used it, and Robert Plant, and Slade, and all the sort of bands. And it's kind of famous. I think Rob Alford had it on his had one of his solo albums. He mentioned Holy Joe's in there and stuff. But it was really famous because it was a church. There's a church, and it was like a church hall. And we played this Cloven Hoof song with the first vocalist that we got in, and he'd already complained because I gave him the tape with the Witch's Room on, with me singing the vocals on there, and he was supposed to learn it. And as he's learning the lyrics, he said, I felt like something was holding my legs. I couldn't see anything there. What the hell is this? And then I had to sort of, I told him, like straight out, well, actually, it's like a real witchy spell, like. And he went, I don't want to sing this. And I said, yeah, but it's the title track for the band. You got to sing it, kind of thing. And we had this rehearsal at Holy Joe's, and we were just playing the track, and then same thing, the power went, the whole power, and we're in the dark, and none of us could find where the door was. And in the end, this vicar sort of opened the door, and he had a candle, and he gave us all a heart attack. He came in, hello, boy, and he went, that does it. And the guy left the band, after that, because of that song. So, we were recording it at Neat Studios, and I was telling the sort of weird things we've had happen, like when we were playing this song to the producer there. And he, they had Venom there and everything. And, so I thought he'd be used to all these kind of stories, kind of thing. But he goes, oh, fine. So we come to do the track. And all of a sudden, the studio stopped working. And he went, that's it. You're going to have to go home. Nothing works. And he said, we're going to have to go and check everything and come back later on. So we got home and then I had the phone call from him and he went, everything works now, you lot. He said, you'll have to come back in a couple of days and we'll get on with it. And he said, if I was you, cut some more words out that witch's spell thing. So I did. And I was hoping it'll bring us kind of luck. So, then we were all right and we managed to lay the track down and everything. But yeah, we had all these weird things. So the band stopped, we don't want to play the song. So we didn't for years and years and years, we do now. But that was another story across America. We had no end of trouble again. And one I remember the most was we were down in New Orleans and a guy called Kit, he came to see us and, he's a journalist and stuff. And he said, how was everything going? I said, fine, except for the Cloven Hoof track. We could get this witchy spell thing and we could get, amps break and breaking strings and just something goes wrong. And he said, I'll be looking out for that. And he was going to see us at Frost and Fire in California, a big festival. He said, I'll keep an eye out for that. So anyway, we went and played the festival and I was wearing this crucifix and I remember being on stage distinctly and it was like, I felt a tug on my neck. And the cross just went flying across and landed on the drum podium. I went, oh my God. And I said to the singer, George, I went, did you just see that? And he went, see what? He didn't even see it. But Kit did. He was like watching at the side of the stage. And he went, it was like the crucifix just like ripped off your neck and, was thrown across the stage. And he went, unbelievable. And he put that in his article, he said, I couldn't believe it. So what I've started to do is during that Cloven Hoof track, I don't wear a crucifix during that song.
Too dangerous.
It's just tempting fate, isn't it? So I don't anymore. But on this album as well, we got the Summoning track, which is the final track, and that's about a witchy Sabbath, Lugnesta, and it's basically sort of Children of the Corn kind of harvest kind of sacrifice kind of thing song. So this album's also got the witches, proper witches thing in there again. So we haven't done that since the first album. So there's a certain magic to this album. So yeah, all the witches will come out again. We had loads of trouble with them turning up at gigs and stuff. But if they like the music, yeah, come along. I don't mind.
the sort of witches things. It's a bit in the DNA of heavy metal with like high fantasy and science fiction literature. So what were the elements of this literature, cultural movement, or I don't know how we could call it, that made you think, oh, this would go well with our music?
Yeah. Like in the early days, I was, I love Deep Purple. And Deep Purple got some sort of, sort of magical kind of songs like Demon's Eye and stuff, But Black Sabbath really did it for me. And really a lot of people think that heavy metal was started right here in the West Midlands because of Black Sabbath, because they were the first sort of all-out sort of heavy metal band, really. And I think they were kind of demonic. And a lot of the musicians in my part of the world, there's some sort of inherent kind of dark aggression in our music. And I don't think Cloven Hoof could have come from anywhere because sort of Judas Priest, we're from exactly the same place as Judas Priest and sort of Black Sabbath and, those kind of musicians. And, Robert Plant, God bless him. He's, and so there's a kind of darkness kind of like in the music anyway. So when I picked the name sort of Cloven Hoof, you know, like I wanted something that people could chant, you know, like it was the 3 syllables, you know, I knew they could go Cloven, and even though I didn't know the full kind of occult significance of Cloven Hoof, it's basically sort of, well, it's just worshippers at the feet of the devil, basically. And the Church of Satan's got Cloven Hoof, you know, .com. So I couldn't even have that. But yeah, it's always been there. And I think, you know, with the power and the sort of kind of sort of nightmarish sort of riffs and stuff, it just lends itself perfectly to sort of the demonic element. And you know, I was also fascinated with science fiction and myths and legends as well. But you know, with a name like Cloven Hoof, you know, like we're bound to stray into those kind of sort of genres, aren't we, with the music? What, you know, going on about the legend, which was quite good. The track Sabbath Stones, which I really like, and really that's what's portrayed on the front of that. You know, they're the standing stones. They're sort of witchfinder kind of character. The track Sabbath Stones, like the actual music progression, I had that on the first album, and I really loved the riff and everything, but I couldn't find the right storyline. You know, like it was like a great song, and I felt like I wasn't really doing it justice. I needed to think of a really great story to go with it, you know, and a good hook line. And it was sort of lying there for absolutely years. And I had this weird kind of nightmare, but I heard the word Sabbath Stones, and it sounded like the riff that from this really good track I had. So the dream made me think about it, you know, like, and the dream was also about being in a haunted house, kind of in Cornwall. I used to live in Cornwall, and Ronnie Dio took his band down to Cornwall to a place called Tintagel when he was making Holy Diver to give them a lot of sort of inspiration kind of thing. So anyway, I had a girlfriend from St. Cullum, which is, you know, down there, you know, probably even further down than Tintagel. And she told me a brilliant legend, and I will never understand why I didn't use this storyline right away. It took that nightmare to make me think about her, you know, like kind of thing. And basically, there's a church there in St. Cullum, and it had kind of like this village green thing. And you could see it used to have standing stones. You could see, you know, like, you could see where they used to be. And I went, you know, what a shame, you know, it hasn't got the standing stones. I bet they look really cool. She went, they have got the standing stones. They're not on consecrated ground. They're the other side of the church wall. And she went, the vicar didn't like the legend attached to them, so he had them moved. And I went, well, what legend's that then? And she went, well, basically, the legend was there was like 7 stones, and it was supposed to be 7 sisters was dancing on the 7th day, you know, like on the Sabbath day, and God was angry and he turned them to stone. I mean, what a cool legend! That is really, that's well good, you know, like. And so, but I didn't, you know, I even used like the 7 sisters like in the Sabbath Stone songs, you know, like, so that was my basis for thinking of that track, you know. But I'm amazed I didn't think about it before, really. But yeah, you know, myths and legends are great, you know, like they can give you really good ideas and stuff. So I've always been fascinated by that kind of thing, you know, anything imaginative, you know, like I think the real world, everybody knows it's, you know, it's really tough and it's hard and the world's a difficult place. So I like taking people on you know, to use their imagination and take them on a journey with Cloven Hoof songs. I imagine each of them like little movies or little storylines, and I try to tell stories like with the tracks, you know, to make them interesting. So it's imaginative and it's you know, it's much more, I don't know, much more sort of interesting to like use your imagination when you're listening to albums, rather just about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like most bands kind of thing. I think, you know, like it's just like the prog rock kind of bands, you know, like I think that's underneath our hood, really, because as musicians, you know, we all loved Rush, you know, the first incarnation of the band, really, and we're all big Rush fans. But the thing was, we played fast because we were nervous in a studio, I think. But we had all these multi-time changes because, you know, I love sort of prog rock. But we were aggressive. We were proper like metal as well. So that gave us a different kind of sound from everyone else. And That's why a lot of people think we were pioneers of power metal, because that's what power metal is really. It's kind of sort of more imaginative, sort of prog leaning, but it's aggressive, and we were doing that in the first place. So yeah, we weren't trying to invent anything new. It's just the way the music came out, really.
It's a bit of a coincidence, or I don't know, but this year Blaze Bayley's released a new album, and it's called Circle of Stones as well. So you have the same Circle of Stone on the cover. It's really, really good heavy metal classical album this year. In terms of what we call the NWOBHM, new wave of British heavy metal. 2024 really is a big year because we have Judas Priest, we have Blaze Bayley, we have your album. So what do you think? 2024 is the year of the NWOBHM and a sort of time machine. Why does this sort of metal genre has the hype again this year, while in the 90s it was really down?
I think what's happened is, like with all the sort of new metal bands, I think a lot of them have kind of lost the magic that it used to have. It's not just, with this sort of new wave of British heavy metal, it's important to really sort of listen to the really good hook line riffs, really good choruses that the fans can chant, and it really gets into your heart, and it affects you sort of spiritually and sort of intellectually as well. And a lot of the bands, they're just like this. It's like playing the same sort of fast song with a ooh kind of stuff. And you've heard it a million times, and it's like every support band, like in America, they all, a lot of them, they do kind of sound the same. But we've played with some really great bands as well. But, they've suddenly gone back to the new wave of British metal because it had a magic. And, those sort of songs really sort of connect with you, and I think that's the proof that music's really good, because it stands the test of time. So, here we are, 44 years. So we must have been doing something right. But we seem to get younger audience at the gigs all the time now. So that bodes well for the future. And it's like a lot of them, it's like, like your dad's sort of into it, and then you get the whole family turn up because they're into it as well. And it's a really, it's a moving sight, seeing a whole family there, and it's a proof how good the music is. It survives time, and really, I don't think there's been anything to beat it. Like the new wave British heavy metal. It's such a historic, important time for heavy rock. Like people still love it. With proper reverence right now. So we stuck to our guns, and we never changed our sort of the essence of the band, and we try to make every track have its own identity. It won't be an album full of exactly the same songs. So even if you get like a single off there, you got Last Man Standing, it's different from all the other ones, because we want all the songs to be self-contained and have their own sort of life in there. So, we try to mix it up and make our albums sort of imaginative and kind of interesting. And there's a market for that, and I think it's just getting stronger, if anything. So everybody's gone back to its roots, really, and everybody's getting off on this kind of thing, even more today. So, it's really pleasing. It's an honour, really, still be doing it for everyone. And we'll just, as long as the fans keep liking it and buying the albums, then, we'll keep on doing it. It's heavy metal's our life, so we dedicated it to it. And the fans have dedicated their life to metal as well. And we're all kind of grabbing hold together kind of thing. And but they're bringing the next generation along. So, something we've definitely noticed, there's a lot more young kids there as well, so that's brilliant, and they can relate to it. So, that's a proof of good music.
Yeah. 2022 and last year, we've already talked a bit about it, but you played a few shows in Europe, in Spain, in Greece, in Belgium. I think it was the Blast from the Past festivals.
Yeah.
So are there any shows planned to support this new album and also Time Assassin? What are the plans regarding live music?
The next one we play Mia Fest, and that's in England. It'll be great, they wanted to see us for a long time, so we'll blow the roof off that one. It's going to be great. And I did it as a favour for Brian, because Brian Mia, who organised it, he wanted us, he wanted us real bad, and he's such a great guy. I went, yeah, go on, let's go and do it, because I think it's about 6 years, before we play in England. It's just that, we always play in Europe, because, people say it's the money. Yeah, well, the money is better. But, obviously, we've our budget, we had singers from America and stuff, so, they have to find the flights for 2 different continents, isn't it? It was America before, but at least it's like Greece and just England this time. So it's a little bit better for the promoters and stuff. So we're going to be promoting it there. We got also a gig in Oxford. That'll be really good. That's another nice big festival, and it looks like we're going to be playing 5 tracks off Heathen Cross live, which that says a lot for the album, because all the songs on this album work really well live. And we've lived with them in the studio. So eventually we'll probably be playing the whole album, but we won't play them all on the one night. We'll probably take 5 one night, 5 the other. And that's how good the album is, really. You can just slot into the set, and it fits well with the other songs and things. So that's great. And we got a great one in Munich in November at the end of the year. That's all sold out, and that'll be tremendous. We're really looking forward to that one. And on purpose, I've left like all next year free. We're going to do loads and loads of shows like next year, like all over the world. So that'll be really great. And I already said that we've got to get the next album all recorded and everything this year. It's going to follow quite closely on the heels of like Heathen Cross. So it's got the same kind of energy level, and it's sort of it's the companion album for it. Really, they'll fit together really nicely. I think like the last one with Time Assassin, that was a great album. That's more power metal, and it's got that sort of power metal kind of vibe, and it was a concluding part to the Dominator saga, which started on the Dominator album. Then he was kind of resurrected on the Age of Steel and it was about him all the one side. And then we concluded the Dominator kind of concept on the Time Assassin album. So we could have just like made that just like a one big concept album on its own. But it's kind of nice to sort of spread them out a little bit like Rush did with the kind of hemispheres, and carry on from Farewell to Kings with Cygnus, and then it was Hemispheres. So, stretched it over a couple of albums because it makes it a little bit more interesting. So, that was the logic behind that. But this one, I think it really goes back to our roots, really, and it's a little bit more sort of raw metal, and it's definitely got that sort of that dark sort of cult feel on there. It's got a kind of sort of magical kind of atmosphere, and the fans have been asking it for years. It's like the best thing about doing the shows as well, apart from you're playing and it's what you love doing, but I love meeting the fans. Like we all do. We never hide away. Like we're going to lock ourselves in the dressing room and all this nonsense. We like being out there and meeting the fans and signing autographs and posing for selfies with them, because they show their love and their dedication for you by buying the tickets and turning up at the show. The least you can do is sign an autograph for them and spend some time with them. But it's also great because I do my kind of market research as well, because the fans tell you what they love about the band and what they'd love you to do, kind of thing. And I take that on board a lot. Like I remember some fans who were super loyal from Scotland, and they went through snow and everything. I mean, we were like cut off. We're going like, how the fans are going to turn up for this? We're in the middle of this barren place like in Scotland. And I'm thinking, the fans will never get out in this deep snow. And they still turned up, like And we loved every minute. We gave them the works, as our thanks for like turning up and going through storms and everything. And they said, well, why don't you write a song about Bannockburn, Robert the Bruce? And I did, and I wrote it for them, and the Bannockburn track, and they were still there after all these years, going like, yeah, look, you actually did it, like we asked you to do it for, and they loved the song. So I do listen to the fans, and the fans went, after the Dominator album, why can't you still carry on with the Dominator concept? I went, well, I killed him off at the end of the first album, and I went, okay, I'll try and think of a way to resurrect him, and so I did. So they had the two sort of sort of parts of the story, like on Age of Steel and Time Assassin. So I do listen to what they want, and I try and give them what I want, and try never to let the standard lapse. We won't rest on our morals. I'll just keep on trying to give them the best album I possibly can. Because without the fans, you're nothing, and they mean such a lot to me. So, and a lot of them went, we love the first album, can you make it dark and heavy? And so here it is. That was, the new album is definitely dark and heavy for them. So, and I try and write as a fan of the band as well. It's like, when I, as a musician, I think it's self-indulgent when, you could be into jazz this week, like you look, like, hey, like as a musician, I'm learning this, but don't bring it to your band, because the fans expect a certain kind of sort of album and music, So why ruin it? Why not give the fans exactly what they want? So when I had some sort of some tracks which I thought were, more on the prog side, like because I love Yes and Genesis and Rush. And so I had a solo project which I called Easter Lyra. So I did it there because it's too prog for what the Cloven Hoof fans would expect. So, always keep your music pure, and we've stuck to our guns. And there's been all these fashion trends that were like into the sort of thrash, and then it was Nirvana, and then Bon Jovi, cowboy kind of music. Everybody was a cowboy, and then sort of the new metal kind of bands and all this. But the fact is, we stayed true, playing true metal. We stuck to our guns and gave the fans exactly what they want, and it's kind of paid dividends because our music's still, they still love us today. So I think it's important to play from the heart, really, and don't play for the critics at all. Play for yourself first, and the fans second, and don't pray for any critics. Just be brave and stick to the music that you love and want to play. So that's what we've always done. So and in the end, your fans will find you, aren't they?
And from everything you've told me, you love storytelling and things like that, and you've done concept album, or at least sort of concept through the albums. Is it something you'd like to do? Writing maybe a book, a novel, or some comic books that would go with the music, because you have this the artwork of Alexander van Wilding. Is that something that you could ask him to do for you, comic books?
It's just fitting the timing, because I have got a great story for the Heathen Cross thing, and it would make a good comic book. And being as you said that, I've really got to make myself do it, haven't I? I've just got to go like, no, get this comic book done. So if I did, the fans would love that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and I'd love it.
When I was at school, I kind of, the teacher, like you write better stories than everybody else, like your imagination, because they thought I was going to go into journalism or something as well. But I love kind of graphic design as well, and illustrating, sort of illustrating stuff. And I was brought up with sort of, Marvel comic books and all that kind of thing. I could do that. And it's just finding the time. And go on then, I will try. I'll really try. Set out some time, and I'll do one, and I'll put it on the website. There you go.
Yes.
I'll do what you said.
That would be great. So we've said that in festival, the audience seems to get younger, and that's a great thing for heavy metal. And there may be some young people who do not know Cloven Hoof. What would you tell them to introduce them to the band? What songs should they play first, or albums? Basically, what's the guidebook to Cloven Hoof?
Yeah, that's a great question. To get them into it, like, do you like imaginative kind of storylines? Do you like the fantastic? Do you like myths and legends? Do you like horror? Do you like comic books? Do you like imaginative stuff? Because if you do, we'll be right up your street, really. Our songs are like epic. There's epic songs. There's loads of time changes. Every song is different. And the album will take you into another world, really. And with that said, there's tracks that, like Nova Battlestar off Dominator album, which is, it's classic Hoof. That's got a lot of things we do well. I picked Mistress of the Forest off Sultan's Ransom because originally it was 3 songs, which I kind of bolted together because they seem to want to belong together. And it's a great big epic tale. And there's loads of time changes and stuff. And, it's imaginative. And the vocals, great on it. So I definitely have Reach for the Sky. I definitely as well, because that's like our anthem and everybody sings that live. We have to finish on that one because, so many bands have covered it as well. So Reach for the Sky, definitely Nova Battlestar, definitely Mistress of the Forest. And off the first album, Gates of Gehenna, because that was one of our first ever songs. And it's kind of different because rather than being an obvious kind of verse chorus kind of thing, it's separate musical movements, a lot like the classical composers kind of used to do. So Gates of Gehenna, that's what makes it original. It hasn't got like this chorus in your face, but it tells a story in musical movements like classical. And I think, like with my writing, why our music is different from most metal bands is most metal bands write a guitar riff and then a few more guitar riffs, and singers just sing on there. But what happens is you end up singing a riff. Now, that worked brilliantly for Black Sabbath because Ozzy's singing the Townies riffs on there, most of the time. And it's great. And it's got that heaviness and it's all got the same hit. That's marvelous. But my approach to it is I get a hook line and it tells me what the song's about. So I work on the melody first and I write the music to fit the words. So that's kind of a different approach. And it's much more inventive, really, because you've got this melody line and you making the music fit. They kind of mesh together, and tell a proper story rather than just a collection of riffs, you see. So that's probably another reason why it's different. And a lot of prog bands would have written it like that as well. They write music to a subject. And obviously having a kind of quite a big sense of kind of storyline, I'll try and make the stories as interesting as I can. And, this kind of conjures up what sort of music you should put to it as well. So, it's somebody called us Thinking Man's Metal once, and that's a cool thing, Okay, Thinking Man's Metal, yeah, I like that, So, so it's not standard, it's not like every other band. Cloven Hoof is kind of, there's more to it, really, and it works on quite a few different kind of levels than just that. You can just listen to it and get into it, but then live you can just rock out as well. So we just try and, on the live gigs, like the music has got a life of its own, and it's like party time, and everybody's singing along the words and stuff. But Cloven Hoof, you can also just like listen to it as like an imaginative kind of piece. So we kind of try to work on a number of levels, really. I think that'll sell it.
Yeah, of course. So you've said that you also want to record a new album really soon. What do you want to do differently between Heathen Cross and the next one?
The song structures for the new one, it's kind of a little bit like Time Assassin. it's like Time Assassin meets Heathen Cross. Now we've had Heathen Cross was, got that sort of dark, sort of back to the first album kind of dark heaviness, and it's got a little bit of that, and a little bit more sort of elaborate, like power metal as well. So I've kind of meshed that. I've like taken the last album and the one before, and I've created a new kind of sound for the new one, because I hate safe albums. I don't want an album that's going to be like the same all the way through. Like in a lot of bands, like they're playing the same song all night. What's the difference? I don't like those sort of albums, because I like to be sort of surprised. Like the next track, oh, that's great. Because I don't want an album full of the same stuff. So I'll try to mix it. Kind of the next one will be mixed up again. It's a little bit Time Assassin. It's a little bit Heathen Cross. So they're going to be really good songs anyway. There's a few really good epic ones on there. I know that for a fact. By today, kind of laying this one down. I'm just thinking, there's loads of bits in this one. So and I try to have like some fast songs and some slow songs as well. Like and different kind of tempos in with all the time structures and stuff. Just to mix it up, make it interesting.
Okay. So one last question to wrap it up. One thing I think is rather positive about streaming platforms for the listeners is that, like in the good old days, you can create mixtapes with one band or several bands. So if you could, what other bands would you recommend for a mixtape with Cloven Hoof and other bands?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Well, most our audience as well. You notice the patches they've got on their jackets and stuff. So you're going to go if sort of rainbow and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, somewhere in there, and Thin Lizzy and Wishbone Ash and Jethro Tull. Sort of, you mix them all together, and basically, that we're on the same kind of genre as that. So if you like those bands, there's a real good chance you'll like Cloven Hoof. So like what I would do, I'd mix tracks from those bands together. And it's really funny, because if I get this asked a few times, it's like, what are your favorite albums? And they've never changed. They're still there. My favorite album, Made in Japan, of Deep Purple, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Black Sabbath, Rainbow Rising. I love with Thin Lizzy, it's kind of, is it Live and Dangerous or is it Jailbreak? But I probably would pick Jailbreak, because that got me into Thin Lizzy a lot. I love Thin Lizzy, and UFO, The Strangers in the Night live album's fantastic. I like a lot of live albums, to be quite honest. I love Queen 2. Queen 2's fantastic as well. I love that album. They were proper sort of heavy band back in those days. And they were, they kind of really worked, and I think with all those harmonies of the guitars and stuff, it was that's kind of a magical album as well. I love that album. So yeah, those kind of bands, like I would definitely mix them up there, and like with Iron Maiden, like that Number of the Beast album was fantastic, wasn't it? You could get Run to the Hills and Number of the Beast, and any number of that. The Trooper was fantastic as well. And Judas Priest, my favorite Judas Priest album is probably Stained Class. I love Stained Class.
Mine too. I really love this album.
Every one of them, yeah. So there's a lot. When I was talking to like with Rob Alford as well, he goes, like, I listened to Cloven Hoof there, and he goes, there's a lot of us in there, right? There's a lot of us in there, and he goes, and sometimes it's like Rush, like in there, and he goes, you must be you, because you're not any particular thing, but there's like inflections. He went, I think you're a bit like us, but then again, you're a bit like these. So he said, you must be you. so coming from him, and he knows what he's talking about. So, we've got this sort of our own kind of style, but being mentioned with like sort of Dio and Sabbath and Priest. It's such an honor anyway, because I love that band myself. So, as long as we get put with those, it's a compliment anyway. But those are the sort of bands I love, and I know are sort of people who are fans that love Cloven Hoof. They love those bands too. So it's those kind of albums that I love. I remember when I was at school. This is how dedicated I was. When Sabotage came out, I had to listen to Symptom of the Universe every single day. I'd walk home on dinner time from school just to go home and put the track on as loud as I could. And then I went back into school, because I needed a fix of just that, go, 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 go. I needed to hear that riff every day. So I knew I had it bad, metal just meant everything to me, And from the same moment that I heard Highway Star as well, from Made in Japan, it was fast and the scream and the magnificent guitar arpeggio like a Richie Blackmore. And I still love it exactly the same today. So, that's the test of great music. You still love it,
All right. So big thank you for being there for us for Metal Express Radio today.
Absolutely. I'm a Metal Express. I love Metal Express. I love Stig. And thank you so much for a lovely interview.
You're welcome. So thanks for all the listeners. And don't forget to tune in on metalexpressradio.com to follow us on social media and everything else. And thanks a lot. It was Lee Payne from Cloven Hoof. And listen to Heathen Cross, the new album, which will be out on the 31st of May, 2024. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
You're right.
If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.